I made more money on TikTok Live in 1 week than I have with my entire music catalog on streaming services in over 10 years. In this video, I want to talk about where we're headed, especially if you're an independent artist like myself, and my prediction as far as where the music industry is going to be in the next 5 years. If you're new to the channel, I'm Jason D'Amico, actor, artist, producer out of North Carolina. I want to start with a story to set up a little bit of a backstory on why I started live streaming. I had some videos that went viral in the summer of 2025 on TikTok, which brought my follower threshold up to past 1,000 followers, which at the time was the threshold for live streaming to unlock on my TikTok account. After this happening, I discovered TikTok live streaming. I'd heard about it, I'd seen it, but I really didn't know much about how it worked. My past experience with live streaming was pretty dull a few years back during the pandemic time because live streaming, as I've learned now, did not reach a high enough peak with its evolution to really be worth it. To my knowledge, maybe there was a way to do it on Twitch or something that I'm just unaware of because I still haven't dabbled much in that area. But specifically for TikTok, I got this idea. And once I hit 1,000 followers, said, you know what, I'm going to just sit down with my guitar, see what's happening here. I saw some friends of mine doing it and playing around with it, but nobody was really serious with it. They just show a live performance or something like that. It wasn't really engaging with the TikTok live chat or role, so to speak. So I started, and it was pretty neutral. It wasn't anything amazing. I sat on this couch over here with an acoustic guitar, and I started, and there may have been 2, 3, 5 people in the room, and it turned into conversation. It turned into a little bit of performance. It turned into a little bit of banter and comedy. And this happened for a few weeks. And I noticed that there were some gifts that had come in, and then I learned about what gifts were. Then I realized that these gifts were not just minuscule gifts. Some of these gifts were large. And I'm talking about one gift would be more than an entire check from my distributor for the entire year's worth of listening in my streaming from all my music. I've got 2 full LPs out, over a dozen other singles. So you're looking at maybe 35, 40 pieces of music that have been on the internet now collectively for over 10 years. And I'm making more money in one live stream for an hour or two, not leaving my house, than all of my music catalog combined thus far. This really changed my entire thought process for where we're headed, where I'm headed, and also the music industry in general, especially for independent artists. I then had the idea to take more song requests. And I noticed for me, I wanted things quick and I wanted the energy high. I took about half a day to shut down my entire operation here. No projects, no paperwork, no anything. Took about 3 to 4 hours to really play with and dial in, as you can see behind me, behind Mr. Tony Sapanda, who's shunning us right now. Taking my electric drum kit and hooking it up to a mixer and sending that mixer feed as a direct stereo output into my phone for TikTok Live. And my theory in my mind was, okay, drums I can do in my sleep. I can play pretty much anything on the spot because I've been playing for over 25 years. And you don't need to know lyrics. You don't need to know chord changes. You just play to the beat. So in theory, I thought that this was going to be successful. My theory proved so far in the last 6 months to be correct. Within 6 months, I now have over 11,000 followers on TikTok. I've essentially 10 or 11x'd from where I started. I have 4 digits of income coming in regularly per month, which is insane. Within less than 5-6 months of really doing that format strategically and specifically. And on top of that, I have an incredible community that's being built around this nucleus that I would have never dreamed would have been possible unless you were out really on the road in a very specific way of touring. Listening rooms every night, opening up for the finest artists that are out there and having high exposure. And even at that point, I don't even know if the numbers really convert the way that they do on TikTok Live. Again, I'm just speaking from my personal experience. I haven't really experimented much with the other live streaming platforms. I also want to share with you an analogy that really helped fortify this concept. Imagine you're in Times Square and you're busking, or you're just hanging out on a corner playing your set, and you've got thousands of people walking by in Times Square. Let's say 90% of them just pass by, they're on their phone, they're going to whatever appointment they got coming up next. Let's say 10% stop and actually listen for about 20, 30 seconds. They see your name, they see who you are. Great. They'll probably forget about you. But if they go on their way to work every day, if you're there the next day, they may stop and stay for a minute. What if 1% of that 100% stopped, listened for a whole song? Maybe they stopped and stayed for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. And at the end of the day, they put $1 in your guitar case. That's the analogy, and that's the power of live streaming. You have your own piece of real estate, but in this case, the sky is essentially the limit, because you're not limited to one corner on a city block. You're talking about access to hundreds of millions, if not billions of people on any given day that can reshare, repost, they can follow, they can gift, they can become part of your community, they can help moderate for you. And every day, I am absolutely shocked by the amount of love and support that's available through this medium, comparatively to what it's been like in the desert of music streaming as an artist. And I think it also is relevant to say that rock stars are no longer in the public eye as they once were, especially for the upcoming generations, Gen Z and Gen Alpha. I'm a tail end millennial. I was born in 1994. So I always have the delineation between Gen Y and Gen Z. As Gen Y, we had flip phones in high school. Gen Z had smartphones. Gen Alpha just came out of the womb with smartphones, right? So the reality is if you're a musician, and we've known this, but I'll reinstate it. If you're a musician in 2026, you have to be a content creator first. This was a very tough pill for me to swallow over the last 5 or 10 years, because in my mind, I had grown up in the late 90s, the 2000s. We didn't have live streaming. The most we had was, when I was a teenager, was MySpace. YouTube just had started. I had an account on YouTube as a minor because my parents helped set it up for me, but everything was low quality. It was really just more of a search engine, and there was no live streaming. Facebook came along, Instagram came along, and sure, you could go viral with videos, and that's great. But I've always had this disconnect over the years with making videos that would live online because, well, all you're doing is making a video. I got into music because I love playing music. I got into music because I love playing music for other people. And I love the camaraderie and the collectiveness and just the universalness of it all. That's why I got into play. Like, it just fired me up. I remember going to my first concert when I was in a stroller, 3-4 years old, seeing Grand Funk Railroad. My parents took me. That was my first concert I ever saw. I remember my dad taking me to see the Police and seeing some of the greatest bands of all time over, my life. The Chili Peppers, Metallica, just incredible artists, and just being inspired by those live shows. We live in a crazy time with a lot of uncertainty and, with AI and all the different things that are happening. But the one thing that is irreplaceable is personal brand. And I got to give a shout out to Ty Lopez, who I've actually met through a family friend. And I took a course last year on strengthening your personal brand. And it was one of the best courses I ever took, because he really talked about how no matter what happens, personal brand will outlast, and it will outlast AI, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what your focus is. And I'm so glad I listened to him, and I'm so glad I was open-minded to it, because if you're an artist, you know how it can be. We can really be set in our ways. We have our tastes, we have our likes, we have our dislikes. But I'm telling you, this is somebody who came up with the idea of the stardom that's involved with having the incredible tour, and of course you can have all those. I've toured, I've done it. But as far as income that is sustainable and having a great time with the ride and building a fan base and all the incredible things that come with this medium, I just am absolutely flabbergasted by the amount of momentum and leverage that I've been able to build in the last 6 months. I've built more, arguably speaking, in that time from a following fan base than on all the other platforms combined. So in closing, this isn't a video saying I'm quitting being an artist and putting out original music. This is just a reality check as a business owner, as an artist, as a content creator, as a producer, as a multi-layered, multifaceted entity, which you probably are as well. If you aren't, you probably know somebody who is. This is a reality check that things have dramatically shifted in this industry. There's a girl who I saw, she's got 100,000 followers on TikTok. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. The first thing I did was go to her Spotify, and she's an A-leaguer in TikTok, which means she's pulling in however many thousands of dollars a month. I go to her Spotify link, and she's got 200 monthly listeners. But I know for a fact that she's pulling in enough income just on her live streaming platform alone that could even be 6 figures at this point, just playing her music. Spotify is becoming potentially the FYE. And I don't know of any FYEs that exist anymore that were in the malls. My prediction is that within 5 years, I'm not sure if some of these streaming platforms where you listen to music only will still really be the main place you go to hear and listen to music. Let me know your thoughts down below. This is why I think live streaming is here to stay and why I think it's going to be the most important, relevant thing you can do as an independent artist currently in 2026. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. And other than that, we'll see you on the next video. Peace. If you're enjoying these videos, subscribing to the channel helps us out a lot more than you might actually think. And if you want to support the channel or get access to our members-only exclusive content, you can check out the fan club or our VIP vault access. I appreciate you.